Hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, your hostess. We are doing a collaboration. This is Gifts from the Home 2025, hosted by Life in the Piedmont. There is a schedule of content creators leading up to the open part of the collaboration. So y'all make sure that you join in. The open part will be December the 3rd through the 23rd. I will list everyone that's dropping videos down below the video, and I'm also going to include the official playlist if there is one. So what am I doing today? Y'all know that I'm all about being frugal and doing thrifted gifts and things like that, and so I decided I was going to pull together a cake mix in a jar and a pie crust mix in a jar using real recipes, and I'm going to show you how I did that in just a moment. Now, the recipe for the dry ingredients is 2 2/3 cups of sifted cake flour, 3 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 2/3 cups of sugar, and y'all, I'm going to omit the baking powder and the salt because I'm going to use a self-rising flour. Yes, I am. Why spend extra money when you don't have to? So that's where we're going to go with this, and I'll get that set up for you in just a moment. I've set up a bowl. Now this is my mixing bowl, but you can go to the thrift store and pick these up relatively inexpensive. And then last year I picked these up for my gingerbread Christmas as gifts. And all it is a little spatula and whisk with a cookie cutter. And I got them on clearance, so I didn't pay maybe not even $1. And I picked up some new towels at a local antique store. Real cheap. These were 2 for $1, y'all. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to need 2 2/3 cups of sifted cake flour. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the recipe. For each cup of flour, you're going to remove 2 tablespoons of flour, put it back in your container, and then you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to use arrowroot because that's what I have on hand and it works just the same. So we're going to go ahead and get this spooned into our measuring cup. Make sure your cup is dry. So 1 cup. And we're going to go ahead and scoop out 2 tablespoons. So I took out 6 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to add in 6 tablespoons of arrowroot. And all you have to do is whisk this or sift it together. So we're just going to whisk. And that's going to create a lighter flour for our cake mix. Got a little more arrowroot there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and measure my flour. What did I do with my spoon? There it is. Into my measuring cup. Level it off. I'm making a mess all over my counter. Pull my jar out. I need 2 2/3 cups of this flour. And you might have to pack it down in the jar. I had to grab my 1/3 cup measuring cup. Level that off. Make sure all my flour is in the jar. We're going to set this aside. I'm going to get that jarred up here in a bit. The next ingredient I'm going to need is 1 2/3 cups of sugar. So let me grab my sugar. We're going to use the same measuring cups. Get that closed up. One cup on top of the flour. One-third cup. And 2/3 cup. I'm going to string my label with some gimp. I'm using a coffee filter to top the jar off. I just think it gives it a clean look. And tie a bow. Very simple little gift. And I'm going to pair this with a pie filling. So let's get on to the pie crust. This recipe calls for 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I think I'm going to use the other spoon. So this is Opie's fail-proof pie crust mix. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the last one. Is I'm going to add the gimp cord to this, place a coffee filter on top. Let me grab a coffee filter. I just find these give it a nice clean look. And they're relatively still inexpensive, so anything that's inexpensive is good, in my humble opinion. Oops, I kicked my camera stand. 1, 2. I'm going to wrap this one 3 times because I got enough gimp there to do that. And just tie a little bow. Oh, don't worry if your ends aren't even. So there is the pie crust. This calls for 1.5 tablespoons of salt. So that's a 1/2 tablespoon. And this is a tablespoon. Well, and I'm using canning salt. One of my daughters has an iodine issue, so we don't add anything with iodine into anything we give her. So 1.5 tablespoons of canning salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar. And that's all the ingredients going into the jar. Level it off. If you're a home canner and you make your own pie filling, you can decorate your jars like this. This is strawberry, and this one is apple. And this is the pie crust. I think I'm going to put it with the apple pie filling because usually you have 2 crusts on that. And then this will go with our cake mix. But if you don't have home canned stuff, you can certainly buy whatever type of pie filling that you can find on sale. And I think these were relatively cheaper than the Lucky Leaf. So we're going to go with the bowl. We're going to start with it. And we've got a sweet little towel to hang over the side. We have this to put in there. And we're just going to put our pie filling in here and our cake mix in here. And you may have to finagle it to get it all to sit properly. And put your tools in here. Then you could use a plastic wrap and wrap it with a bow. And that would be your gift. So really inexpensive little gift to make. Or you can take your old Christmas cards and attach them to a bag, and then you would put paper in the top of it. Let me move the camera back. So then you've got your little hand towel. Isn't that cute? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap one of the jars so that when I put it in the bag, the other jar isn't hitting up against it. And your pie filling and, of course, your pie crust would go in this bag. And then again, of course, you would add your little spatula set in there. I'm going to show you a top look at this bag. So everything is packed in there, and then of course you put your tissue paper on top and hang your tag on your bag. And there you have 2 very inexpensive gifts, but very nice gifts to give to your friends. Simple and frugal from the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I hope you enjoy these recipes. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite cake and what is your favorite pie? Thank you, Tina, for hosting Gifts from the Home 2025. The perfect gift for the baker in your life that likes baked goods, home baked goods, but they don't want to spend the time mixing everything together. And the perfect hostess gift for your gathering. Here's some content I think you might like. Thank you for visiting our homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hype, and share to help our small channel grow. See you next time for more simple living, frugal tips, and farmyard fun.